Shut up and sit down.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Chef's Quarantine Kitchen here, April 14th, Tuesday. And that means that we are now 2 days past Easter. I hope everybody had a wonderful Easter. I hope you were able to spend some time with your family at home and make the most of the situation and at the very least indulge in some awesome food. Okay, so I know I certainly did, and I made one of my most favorite things in the world to cook at home, and that was baked beans. All right, so we're going to be doing a little leftover breakfast today, guys, and we're going to be using our baked beans over here, and I also made a wonderful delight called popovers. Okay, a popover, folks, is I guess it would fall under the category of a bread or a quick bread, and they're baked very similarly to a muffin, but the batter is almost very thin, like a crepe or even a thin pancake, and they have these special deep muffin type pans like these that we bake them in. Okay, they come out and they're kind of crispy and crunchy on the outside, and then they have a very light, fluffy, pillowy, almost airy center. And so we saved some of them after they cooled and bagged them up, and we're going to crisp this back up in the oven, and we're going to serve it with some baked beans, some bacon, and then top with a couple of fried eggs. Really simple, all right? This will be our last demonstration video on egg cookery before we move over to one of my other favorite things to make at home, soup. Okay, so we're going to get started here. I got a little bacon action that's going to be going on with breakfast here, all right? We got some thick cut. Now, if you want to kick your bacon up a couple of notches, all right? I mean, bacon's delicious all by itself. I mean, look, I didn't get this way by not eating delicious bacon, all right? We did sprinkle a little bit of brown sugar on top, okay? That kind of kicks it up a little bit. And then you add a little bit of black pepper. So we can call this our brown sugar and black pepper kind of cured bacon. All right, our oven's preheated for 350. Bacon, always best to cook it in the oven. Don't fry it in a frying pan. It curls up, it doesn't cook evenly, and it's just a mess. All right, find a nice flat cookie sheet, right down to the oven. All right, now, while that's going over here, we have our mise en place for our breakfast, okay? Our beans, we're going to get some of these out of the pot. Now, folks, baked beans, in my opinion, are very much an underrated component to a great breakfast, okay? You don't see it very common in restaurants as much as maybe you did 30, 40, or even 50 years ago. But in the old school New England culture or real Yankee culture, baked beans would be very much something that you would have at breakfast, okay? Actually, the way that they did beans way, way, way back in the days, they would get them going either the night before, okay? Actually, I believe it was the night before the Sabbath. And they would cook them in an earthenware pot like this, like the one I showed you, okay? This is like a clay pot, and I don't even know how old it is. I believe it was either one of my grandmothers or even great-grandmothers. So, I mean, this pot here could be well over 100 years old. And they would bury the beans, all right? And they would surround them by coals, and then they would slowly cook in the ground, all right? They would call that bean hole beans, okay? But in any event, how they may have cooked them in the past, certainly it boiled down to eating them, all right? Now, you would always have some leftovers after dinner time, and they were always a great component with breakfast as well. All right, beans are high in protein. Okay, just the beans all by themselves. They're absolutely delicious. Okay, these beans are made with salt pork, molasses, onions, Maine soldier beans, and mustard powder. That's it. Really 5 ingredients and water. Okay, I soaked the beans overnight on Saturday and allowed the dry beans to absorb some water, and they almost triple in size. And then onions, the molasses, the mustard powder, cubed up salt pork, covered it in water, stirred it up, in the oven for 6 hours. 6 hours. They take a significant amount of time. And I've always found the best results are coming out of this classic bean pot. All right, so I'm very, very careful with my bean pot, and I take ultra good care of it. I'm always gentle with it. I always make sure that I clean it. I left them in the bean pot the other night just for demonstration purposes to show you the pot. So when we're all done here today, I'll actually portion my beans out into little, Glad containers and then pop them in the fridge and then kind of eat them periodically over the week. They do hold for quite some time. If you could probably keep them in your fridge for a week after making them, just sheerly out of the sugar content in them. But they also freeze very well too. Okay, so don't be afraid to pop them in the freezer, pull them out the night before. All you need to do really is just warm them up in a saute pan. And sometimes you need to add a little bit of water back to them. We're actually going to do that. And what I did was save the last little end of the molasses container and then shook up some of the hot water in here so we didn't waste some molasses. So we're going to add that in here. Okay. And I'm going to turn these on low. Oh. Okay, down on low. We have a new member to the party over here in the demonstration kitchen, guys, where we have our little top angle GoPro camera here. Oh yeah. So we're going to be cutting in some direct down footage onto the stove here. Okay. Now, our eggs today we're going to prepare over easy. And in class at school, guys, I generally teach you how to do them inside of a saute pan. I'm actually going to use my flat top grill today. And we talked last week when we were poaching about the spread of the egg white, okay? And an indicator of how fresh the egg may be, which is how big or tight the inner white is. And this is an opportunity to really see that, especially with the camera right overhead. And we can see how fresh these eggs are once we crack them. So we got that flat top grill going and warming up, all right? Our bacon's going in the oven, all right. It's already sizzling away. It's smelling great. That probably is only going to take about 10 minutes, if that. And in about 5 minutes, we're actually going to put our popover back in the oven. Okay, and we're going to crisp it up. Kind of brings it back to life. You can see now. See, it's kind of like squishy almost. It sounds like a dog's chew toy. Why? This thing is full of air. All right, it's very, very light. Okay, it's just kind of an outer shell, and it's very pillowy and airy in the center. But we put this back in the oven and it'll crisp up all on the outside and then be nice and moist and fluffy again in the center. Okay. Today we're going to serve this with a little bit of fruit again. Okay. I still have some oranges kicking around and some fresh berries. Guys, there is so much great fresh fruit at the grocery store for a spectacular deal right now. Spectacular. All right, demand's gone down so low because everybody's dropping their coin on toilet paper and paper towels. Craziness, okay? There's something delicious about paper towels and toilet paper. There's all kinds of delicious stuff about wonderful fresh berries. And so we're going to mix these all up and like we had done last week and have a nice little fruit side as well. Now, another addition that we brought into Chef's Quarantine Kitchen was some actual mobile tripods and a few ways that we can change up our camera angles so we weren't all archaically like we had been. I had actually had this camera that I'm talking into right now was like super ghetto. I had it taped up, like duct taped to this wooden dowel, like on the side over here, and it kept falling over and it was wicked crappy. So I'm like, hey, man, when I went out on Saturday to do my my 1 week out of the house type deal, had to go to the dump, had to go grocery shopping, had to go grab a few other things. I'm like, I better go get some tripods here. It's the 21st century, Matthew. You can't be rocking and rolling over here like you think it's the 80s with a Polaroid on a stick, all right? We're better than that. I'm going to show you another technique when it comes to cutting up oranges that we would call the supreme. Last time, I believe we just kind of sliced them. This time, we are actually going to remove all of the center flesh pieces. All right, so there is zero pith. You are literally only getting the ultra perfect part of the orange. All right, and in French, we would call that a supreme. Okay, so now if you could see very closely kind of the lines here, that kind of differentiates where those little segments are. And you just kind of cut down, and then you pop this thing out, and it almost scrapes right off. And then you just have the pulp and the juice. Okay? And then we're going to cut down. Again, remove. This is one of the tasks that I did a lot in my younger career as an 18 and 19-year-old apprentice. You know, it taught me self-discipline. It taught me precision work, and it taught me to kind of get through very tedious and mundane tasks in a very timely manner. Because at the end of the day, the job still needs to get done, and just because it kind of stinks to do, isn't like a green lit excuse to take forever doing it. We used to call that taking care of business. You know, if you got to take care of business, you want to get it done quick. Okay. So now, as you can see here, we just have, you know, kind of the crummy part that we don't want. See, we got our plate ready to go. Okay. Then we take our other berries and we'll just pop those in there. And this time, I think we'll hit it with a little maple syrup. 'Tis the season, right? I think we just did sugar last time. But the maple syrup will play well into the overall dish, okay? Toss those up. They'll start getting juicy and be all nice and wonderful here in a few minutes. So now our beans are starting to get hot here. They're warming right up and simmering away. Maybe we overdid it with the water component there, but that's all right. We'll just give those time. We're going to check our bacon. This should be pretty close to being done. Okay? Bacon. Close. I'm going to shut the oven off. There's enough heat going on in that oven right now, all by itself, to finish cooking that bacon. Because in my opinion, there's nothing worse than overcooked bacon. I like it to be crispy with just a tad bit of chew in the center. It's what I would call a medium bacon. We're going to throw our popover in and let that crisp up in the residual heat, however. Butter, going to go down on our flat grill. Now, the butter here, folks, is just simply for some flavor, okay? As I told you guys last week, the surface of this grill is very much non-stick, okay? So, crack. And then let's see where our flow is here. All right, so our eggs are coming along here pretty good. There's going to be just a tiny touch of browning on there from the butter, but that's okay. It'll kind of play into our bold and big flavors of our beans and the pork and the bacon. All right, a little bit of black pepper on there. No salt, because bacon's salty on its own, and then the salt pork and the beans is fairly salty on its own. So we have enough salt kind of going on around here that we don't need to inundate our eggs with salt. And we would salt the eggs after they're cooked anyways, because like we had mentioned with scrambled, it'll actually make them a little bit rubbery. All right, so we're going to separate these guys. And if you could see here, all right, these eggs are in good shape. They're pretty fresh. They have a very large inner white. A large inner white is a very clear indicator that our eggs are fresh. Okay, the older the egg, the smaller that thick inner white, and then there's more of that kind of thin, watery white. All right, so we're going to take our eggs and we're going to be super gentle. All right, very gentle. Okay. Oh, check our beans here. Now our beans, we don't want it to be watery, but we want it to have a sauce to them. Okay. we're going to go down here, and you're going to see. Okay, you can see these beans have like a nice sauce to them. You can see the hunks of salt pork. All right. These beans are in pretty good shape. Okay. I think we can turn our heat off here completely. Be right about an over easy, over medium. I think we can take our bacon out now. That looks pretty good. Okay. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Set this down over here. And we're going to be in plating mode any second, guys. Any second. So we're going to be back just in a minute. Tie this up. Show you how to plate it up. And the chef's going to be eating. All right, guys, now we're back and we're ready to plate up here, okay? So we're going to set this down here in a second, and you're going to see where everything's ready. And again, with the magic of our awesome new ability for better camera angles, we're going to move everything a little closer and plate up near the stove. All right. Also, too, guys, this dish is kind of a homage to a lot of my mentors in my career, okay? The popover... I learned how to make popovers from Chef Steve James, who was the pastry chef of the Balsams Grand Resort for well over 2 decades. And when he left the Balsams, he founded a restaurant group called Popovers on the Square. And they have a location in Market Square in Portsmouth and then one at Brickyard Square in Epping. And they built their entire restaurant brand around the popover. The chef always said that you really want to celebrate the things that you're very successful at and to, keep things very simple. But when you have something that's very, very good, you really want to get behind it. And he built an entire empire and brand around these guys right here. And they do all kinds of things in popovers, from sandwiches to breakfast items to ice cream sundaes. And they have really opened up the world as to, what you can really do with these things. So that's kind of a homage to him. And then Chef Phil Leonard, who was the food director at the Balsams Grand Resort for almost 40 years, taught me how to make baked beans the way I made them here. And Chef was as old school of a Yankee chef as they came. Chef will be 95 this summer, and it's incredible that he's still in the health that he is. So we hope Chef's doing great over there where he's retired over in Maine. And Chef James, love you. This one's kind of for you too. Okay, so we're going to go down to the plate. Bacon, ready to go. Okay. Pan's still a little warm. Can actually see, all right, how you can see the black pepper and kind of that caramelization on that bacon as opposed to it just being plain. Came out very nice. Our eggs are ready and our beans. Okay. So we're going to put down on the plate over here. Yay. Okay, I cut our popover in half here, and you can see the center. It has like a big airy pocket in there. Okay. Now we're going to just spoon our beans down. Oh, no! Again! It did it to me! I hate my smoke detectors. I can't even begin to tell you how much I despise them. But again, as I had mentioned in other videos, I guess at the end of the day, having a very sensitive heat and smoke detector is actually a good thing, and it keeps me safe. But it drives me crazy! Back down. All right. So we're just going to spoon our beans in. This popover is kind of a nice little vehicle for that. Our bacon. This is a dish that's best kind of just eat it all together. Don't be afraid. Let it rip. Sometimes the best things are just kind of all like you get a bite of everything on the plate all at once, as opposed to like, I'm going to eat my eggs, then I'll eat my bacon, then I'll eat this, and have it kind of fragmented. We're going to put our fried eggs right here on top. Those are looking good. Those are more of an over medium, maybe a little further than I would have generally liked to have taken them. And then just here on the side, we're just going to spoon a little bit of fruit. And you can see that fruit's nice and juicy. The juice started coming out of the oranges. All right, so the acid in the orange juice mixed with that maple syrup helped create a nice sauce. Had we used regular sugar like last time, the same thing would have happened. We call that macerating. As Chef James used to always tell me when I was an apprentice, he'd say, Matty, you don't ever serve dried berries. Never dried berries. They got to have some juice. They got to have a sauce. All right, and that always stuck with me. It took a couple of ass chewings, but I figured it out. And now, guys, we have here, I mean, we're talking, this is a breakfast for a king or a queen here. And I can't wait to get back to school and see how much weight I've gained because I don't have a scale here at home. But I'm sure it's a lot, but I know that I've been eating really good in the process. All right, guys, that concludes today's broadcast from Chef's Quarantine Kitchen down here in the trailer park in Whitefield. Thanks for joining me, and we hope to see you all again soon. It's a beautiful day out today. The sun's shining. The snow's finally almost all gone. All right? Keep after your friends, okay? Stay in touch. Call your loved ones. All right? We're finally starting to see the other side of this whole thing, this horrible situation that we have in the world. But continue to protect yourself. Stay safe, okay? And I want you to just keep cooking good. Signing off.